Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. And on hashtag Thought Thursday, it's important to have a really interesting look through the arts at having a difficult conversation. We know that was kind of the impetus behind The Room in the Elephant. We've got the creative genius behind the film, director and producer. Tell us a little bit about this and why it's so important to you.
The premise of the film is basically a woman gets some life-changing news and has to figure out how to tell her 7-year-old daughter about it. And when she does, her daughter poses an insightful perspective. And it's actually a really personal story. So my mother actually passed away from cancer a few years ago, and thank you. And so I'm very close to the idea of dealing with death within the family or a sickness within the family. So having to tell a 7-year-old some bad news like that can be tough, but also can lead to some positivity.
Let's take a look at the trailer for The Room in the Elephant.
Katie?
Wow, this looks so powerful. Was it really difficult making this movie?
I wouldn't say difficult in terms of the subject matter, because you put so much of yourself as an artist into your work that the more personal you can be, the better.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun too. I mean, especially working with LaLa, she's an up-and-coming actress. She's so effervescent in her personality on set. So we had a lot of fun kind of throwing stuffed animals across the room and like just creating these improvised scenes in the end that were really fearless. And at one point, because of the rules for minors, that you actually had to start home. So I had to call into the Rocket to play opposite our lead actress. And really the Rocket
It's fine. I don't really care.
So the rocket moving back and forth in the shot actually looked really good, and we lucked out. So sometimes these happy accidents are really what makes the fun of the film really come alive.
What do each of you love most about this film?
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, wow, we've never been asked that before. What do I love most? I mean, the process is, it's hard, but also the ability to be able to express yourself through your art is amazing. And as a director, I'm lucky if I get to direct once a year on set. So I love the process, actually, and being able to collaborate with people, because I spend so much time writing by myself in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah, the filmmaking process is wonderful, but I think specific to this film for me, I loved that when Tricia and I were editing the script and like working on elevating it together, we were able to come up with an uplifting perspective at the end. And that's a big challenge, I think, for films that have a lot of heart and are issue-based. I made another film called Without Grace that is, much heavier and deals with mental health, much like your last guest. And it's Suicide Prevention Week, so I think that's really important to talk about. And that film didn't have that uplifting ending, because sometimes you just have to be true to the story that's being told, especially when it's based on a true story. So this film, we were really able to give it some levity and lightness at the end. Hence, we're dressed like Crayola right now.
Yeah, I think it's one of the highest gifts, I think, really, is to be able to take a purpose, first of all, identify and clarify the purpose that you have, and then turn it into art. The translation process to me is just, so inspiring what you're able to do here. How do you guys tap into that place where you can take something that means so much to you and express it in a way that people can relate to, but can also uplift them? Is there something special that you do that you've learned along the way that's been helpful?
I think you have to think about the stories that you like to tell, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to piggyback on what Tricia said. You start with something that's really personal to you, because the more specific you can be, the more relatable it is to everyone that's watching. And it really unites people to feel like they're not alone in the world experiencing these things. Many people have experienced being touched by cancer or the loss of a loved one, or a mental health concern in the family. And so you start with that seedling, and then I think together you think about the films that you really like to watch, right? And you want to talk about the tone and feel. What's the feel you want to have in the room, right? And that you want the audience to have, and that's how you.
So, what do you want the audience to feel when they watch The Room and the Elephant?
Uplifted in the end, because we all have to deal with hard things in our lives, whether it's big or small, but it's the perspective that you take on it that is the way that you can get through that journey.
And when are you premiering the film?
We actually premiered at the Oscar qualifying Heartland Indie Shorts Festival.
Super cool.
And we will be screening at San Pedro Film Festival October 3rd, 4th, 5th weekend, I think. Yeah.
How exciting is that?
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, please tell everyone where they can find and follow the film.
Well, we have our individual websites. Mine is tricialeedirector.com, and my social media is Tricia Lee Director.
And I'm charliebearproductions.com, Ley, and at Angela Cohen on Instagram, and you can see all of our films there.
Well, thank you
Fantastic.
both. We appreciate you. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.